In the discovery of tantric lovemaking and the attainment of erotic continence, it's important to understand the art of foreplay. Sharing their personal experiences and insights, I'm joined by Tantra teachers Bogdan Radasanu and Alina Halauca. Alina and Bogdan, why is foreplay so important?
First of all, thank you for inviting us and opening this conversation. We discovered in our practice in so many years that without foreplay, all the beautiful promises that Tantra has, especially to the erotic fulfillment, are almost impossible. So foreplay would be, let's say, an important part, is not the only, but a very important part in getting to a level of intimacy and openness where two people can get together, experience some pleasurable things, but these things will actually be meaningful for a much deeper connection and love. It's one of the reasons we call it love making, not having sex. And in order to be loving, I think any interaction should start with a conscious touch, with let's say, with the opening of the heart expressed through touching each other and creating pleasure and an attitude of giving. So foreplay is a very complex activity in which we integrate many elements that will facilitate us getting closer together, or our hearts getting closer together.
And in terms of men and women, Alina, may I ask you, why is foreplay so important for women?
Hi, Vivienne. First of all, I want to say that in the complex art of lovemaking, prelude is very important because it's the beginning of an entire development of intimacy and love and expression and unifying the two lovers. And it is important because as any beginning, like even when we have a meal, we have a starter. Even when we go to school, we go from the beginning till the end. So the beginning is very important, and it has an impact over the whole development of the lovemaking, let's say in this case. And for women, it is very important because we are built in a different way than men, and physiologically, let's speak, we need more time to awaken the erotic energies, to build up, to open up, to be ready to receive our beloved.
And Bogdan, do you find that men benefit from that extended period?
Yes, one of the misunderstandings that exist nowadays is that women will need foreplay and they need more time, even physiologically, for lubrication and so on. The men, they're ready straight away. Now, of course, in the moment when we just seek for pleasure and immediate satisfaction, of course, yes, the man is ready from the moment when the erection is there. They can think, now I'm ready for action. But when you think from a deeper perspective, it's not a race. It's not something that we get. Is not having my sex, but rather I'm with someone that I adore and I love and I want to connect with. I want to make love. Now, if the whole lovemaking is rushed in the beginning and the foreplay is skipped, a few things happen. First of all, the man energy is very impulsive. It's like a fire. It just explodes and wants to be consumed and wants to be devoured and be discarded at the end. Whereas the woman's energy is like water. Now, of course, we could never have an instantly boiling water. It needs time to assimilate that energy from the fire, to have time to warm up and to be ready to be used for the beautiful cooking that we want to have there. Therefore, the woman needs more time. Now, it's not just the women. If you think in terms of energy and where the energy goes, in Tantra is a very simple statement. Energy follows consciousness. Now, of course, if we walk in the bedroom, let's presume that the lovemaking happens in the bedroom. Could happen anywhere, of course. If we walk in the bedroom and there is a very deep instinct of, I would say, taking it technically, animalistic satisfaction or the instinct of procreation, then all the energy that is stirred, is built up through lovemaking, will tend to go into the sexual function. Then is very little place for intimacy. And not only, the energy builds very, very quickly. I said a bit earlier that the energy of the man builds up very, very quickly. And of course, if you put more fuel on that initial fire, it tends to explode. This is what happens. You put gasoline on a fire, and then probably you remain without eyebrows or part of the hair in the head. So that's not something desirable. Now, if we want to have a meaningful interaction, where there is enough time, you want to connect, you want to feel the pleasure together, why not to feel the orgasm together, to go towards a place of deeper intimacy and love? This kind of explosion that happens very quickly due to the inability to handle the energy leads to frustration. If the man finishes in 3, 7, 10 minutes and the woman barely warms up in 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, then it's very difficult for them to be together. So from a certain point of view, the man needs the foreplay probably even more than the woman. The man, in order to put order in his energies, to master the energy, to manage the inner energies and this excitement and arousal, will need some space where these energies have time to build up, have time to distribute through the body. So that's why I would say the man needs the foreplay as much as the woman is the foreplay in order to arrive in the same place of intimacy right from the beginning, even before they start a, let's say, more intimate action.
Is this quite a surprise for the men that you teach when you tell them that they need this length of as much as the women do?
They kind of know they don't do a good job. There are some guilty smiles, I would say. They somehow understand the partner's needs and their lover's needs. But I think because there is no pressure, or there is no discussions and so on, it's just a given. I think people do not communicate, do not talk about this. I even repeatedly speak with the men that I teach and the men and my friends and so on about this concept of external lubricants. You know, if you need to use external lubricants, that means your body is not ready. And even if you as a man, you are ready, let's say in 2, 3, 5 minutes, you have already some lubrication, natural lubrication, then the woman doesn't. And even that is a sign, is even the body tells you that you are not ready. And personally, when I make love, I make sure that the woman, my lover, is very lubricated before I begin. And that's one of the signs. Of course, is more to the whole story, is not just the physiology, but just is one sign of many which shows that we didn't do enough.
And Alina, could you comment on all that from the women's perspective? You very nicely presented the idea of the importance of the beginning. What's been your experience and the experience of the women that you've taught around foreplay and the length of foreplay and lubrication, all these points that Bogdan just made?
Yes, we women are built a bit differently in the sense of being ready to make love and being open and ready to embrace our love, and even like to the moment of entering of the lingam into the yoni, we need to build up to that, to open up. And our body is, it has like many erogenous zones which they need to be awakened, and as women we need like 30 minutes, even 45 minutes of prelude to awaken and open up. It's like a flower in the morning, it needs the warmth and the light of the sun to open up. Exactly the woman, it has this need of being caressed and kissed, embraced, brought like even into a romantic environment field for her being and her soul to start opening up. And it's not just physiologically, because yes, we can reach excitement through kissing and so on, but also we need to feel the love, the connection, so we can actually trust our lover. And because a woman, when makes love, she totally abandons into it, and she lets her lover enter into her. And when he's entering, he's not just entering into her yoni, is entering into her soul and into her heart. So she needs to have this openness and readiness. And this can be achieved through the foreplay.
Do you find that women that you've taught are confused about asserting themselves or teaching the men that they have this need to be opened up like a flower?
First of all, many of them, they don't know that actually they need this time, and sometimes they think that they are, closed, they don't have erotic energy or something like this. And through the workshops and so on, they just realize that actually they don't have any problem. They just need time. And at the beginning, they need to learn for themselves and then bring that into their relationship and actually teach their lovers. And they need to be actually very firm, to be very firm and having this attitude in which they really need to teach their lover and to making them understand them, how they are and what they need in order to make love.
So without tantric lovemaking and the art of foreplay, are a lot of women missing out?
A lot, yes. They miss a lot because first of all they don't discover themselves, they don't know their potential, they don't know actually what they can feel, they don't know that are able to live different states of orgasm, many states of orgasm, and then they don't discover.
And this then leads into self-knowledge and realization of their authentic self.
Yes, it can lead to that, because by awakening your entire being, awakening your erotic energies, and then the woman flourishes and discovers herself, and becomes confident in what she is and what she wants, and then she can take a straight direction, and even the communion with the higher aspects of her being is much more easier when a woman is awakened.
And is it similar for a man, Bogdan, that there is this sudden realization that there's so much more to lovemaking and there's more self-discovery?
I would say that one of the changes that appears in the moment when we can express like this is the fact that lovemaking should be an act of love and an act of giving. Now, of course, there are quite a few reasons why men rush through the orgasm. One is maybe a certain anxiety about performance, or even the fact that the erection might go away after 5-10 minutes, which happened to all of us probably. You start to get stressed that, the foreplay is longer than your erection, then what you're going to do afterwards. So there are many reasons why we skip that. But once we understand that lovemaking, it's in the title, it's an act of making more love and should be an expression of love, then it comes with a natural desire to offer. And of course, if you want the woman to be open and you want the woman to be happy and you want the woman to feel that she invites you in this very beautiful and delicate inner universe, then we're gonna ramp up our even expectations about ourselves and even the desire to raise to that level of giving, and then foreplay will become natural. And foreplay will become like the rest of the lovemaking as an act of giving. And through giving, we're receiving quite a lot. Now, it is almost impossible to have any of the states that Tantra promises with an instinctual attitude. For example, if you go there and we just want our pleasure and it wants to be quick and needs to be a release, then we treat the other one like an object. We objectify our lover. And it becomes a very sad story, because the other one, especially when this is, of course, not the best experience for them, or they don't feel ready, or it's just a repeated selfish interaction, they build up resentment and frustration and rejection. And after a while, give it maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, when people are interacting unconsciously from this point of view, each of them, and especially the man, walks in unconsciously just to get a form of satisfaction, then it's the gap between the two lovers gets bigger and bigger. And then, of course, the woman at one point will prefer to do other things than to have a quick sex. Even there are some statistics which shows that women, all the headache and the shopping and eating chocolate and so on, all these things are results of them not being satisfied and them finding more satisfaction in, let's say, more mundane things than an intimate interaction, because the love and the care is not there. Now, one of the things, listening to Alina a bit earlier, one of the things I learned and I put in practice quite a while ago, and I had quite a revelation when we practiced this together. Someone told me a woman, even before you enter, a woman should have already at least one orgasm. And I know the whole theory, why we need to do the foreplay, to build up the energy so you can manage it easier. So when you start to make love, the energy goes where you want and so on. The whole story was there. But this was a very interesting tip. So I'll share this, Alina. So we are in this foreplay, and Alina likes a longer foreplay, of course. And then I was there having this in mind and wanting to get to that point where actually she has at least one orgasm. And then when the lovemaking, the play started, all of a sudden, just with very small movements and hardly any kind of extra stimulation, she started to have orgasm after orgasm. And I was just looking at myself and say, oh, that was so easy. But why was easy? Because she was already open, and it was not so much about the friction and the stimulation and the physical thing that was happening there, but rather was already on a much deeper level where the excitement was not just coming from a physical stimulation. And that for me was a very good hint, for a man to know that the lover is ready. He needs to have some signs, and of course, could be the orgasm, could be a gesture of invitation. Of course, the woman needs to take the time and to learn to give herself the time, like Alina said a bit earlier, to somehow respect themselves and to feel ready when they feel ready. And then, of course, if the erection is gone, there are two in the picture there. So, of course, the woman can stimulate the man. Foreplay doesn't mean just the man stimulating the woman, but the other way around. But I think because the woman needs more time, the man should provide that, and should not be an obligation or like a timer set on the side of the bed where he says, now I need to do 23.5 minutes of foreplay because this is when she's ready, but rather to be a kind of organic and natural connection and interaction, communication between them, and the woman will give that sign. And it's very beautiful when you feel invited rather than you trying to take it. You feel that now is the moment. And interestingly enough, if it's not your moment, then you could signal that and say, okay, my energies are too high, or they're too stirred or disturbed and so on. And the woman also can do some conscious touch and massage. And there's a whole science about how men should learn to be more sensitive in their bodies and to learn to do what women do naturally, to be able to take this excitement and distribute it throughout the body.
I want to add in this like a little secret. A woman, when she knows already how she feels when she's awakened, and she knows her erogen zones, and she knows how to be kissed and touched, how she likes to be, she will do that to her lover. So the men should be learning from that and understand, even if at the beginning maybe they don't feel anything at the armpits or in the feet, or when they are kissed, caressed, tickled and so on, they need to be aware that actually the woman likes that because she will do to him what she actually likes, and in this way they can exchange the knowledge of fair play, foreplay. Yes,
that sounds good.
And so they can learn about themselves. And also the woman, when she caresses, kisses him, she will discover him. She will know where he is sensitive and where he... And then the man also is awakening, and then his energies are flowing easier, and then the lovemaking becomes longer and longer because his body also is prepared, and his nadis are awakened and free, and the energies is flowing free. So it is reciprocal, and it's helping both of us in this direction of knowing each other and discovering like secrets about each other. And these are also related to the zodiacal signs, because you realize some zodiacal signs, they have certain areas of the body which are very sensitive, awakening, and or they are like ticklish and so on. So through all these movements and touches, and you can awaken different types of energy. And it is said in the tantric tradition that the erogenous zones actually are little antennas. So they are not just the nerves, because like when you are kissed and you feel shivers, that in the body is triggered by the nerves, but subtly it's triggered by the energy which is captured from the universe. And these erogenous zones are actually antennas for erotic energies. So actually we charge ourselves before lovemaking through this foreplay. We charge with these sublime energies, which are also pleasure, beauty, love, excitement, different types, and depends on each other and depends on the day, and because each lovemaking is different and the energies are different, so we actually exchange in between us a lot of like new feelings and energy, and it's like an endless knowledge about ourselves, and it's not just like one time and then we know each other. No, we can start exploring, and then our aura are expanding, and then the consciousness is expanding, and then our experiences become more and more like universal, cosmic, as you want to say.
Does it take a long time to know your erogenous zones, if you like, to relax into them and identify them? If you've had a lovemaking in the past which has not taken much notice of foreplay?
It doesn't take long for a woman. From my experience, in the tantric massage, for example, because massage can be also a way in which of the manifestation of the foreplay. The women, if they are touched with care and love, and they start awakening immediately. And in the workshops which we've done with like tickling and touches and some conscious touch and so on, like in 2 hours the woman can discover about herself a lot, and from there she can just develop. But I could see like miracles in the way of saying like, oh, it's nothing wrong with me, and actually I can feel I feel my energies, I feel awakened erotically, like I'm not dead or something like this. So it can be happening very quick. Of course, there are cases in which they need a little bit more time, no knowledge. We can have also the help of the aphrodisiacal plants. So, yeah.
So Bogdan, how does performance anxiety play into all of this, and what role does the woman play in supporting the man to get over it?
I think I'll let Alina speak about the role of a woman, but I can tell you also, being a young man, and I remember the first times when I made love, and then was an erection, and there wasn't an erection, and there was a panic mode, and then of course in time I learned that the lovemaking has nothing to do with how long we make love or when the erection comes or when it goes. It's the lovemaking, that's why I keep referring, it's a very simple way to relate to lovemaking when you think of the term. And I know it sounds a little bit old-fashioned, lovemaking. We are there to create more intimacy in love. Now, whatever happens there, penetration or no penetration, erection or no erection, if it's done from the heart, is still an extremely valuable experience. Even a session of conscious touch, or just a session of foreplay or tantric massage, or anything that brings two people closer together in the heart is a meaningful and worthwhile experience. And that's why, for example, going into the lovemaking and trying to perform as a man brings a lot of pressure. For example, it happened that, yes, of course, I control the energies, I make love for half an hour, 1 hour, and then the erection disappears. And then there is a certain panic inside, and then that has nothing to do with the two people there. And you'll never be blamed by someone who loves you. So now another, I would say one of the reasons men do not really take foreplay seriously beyond the instinct and the blind attraction is the fact they are afraid to lose the erection. And the way I teach and the way I learned is that doesn't matter. Even if I would even say that the way I teach it is like this: it's better to ride the second wave of erection and excitement, because when you have a longer foreplay and that very impulsive energy from the beginning is cooling down, is calming down, and also through the foreplay you start to distribute that energy in more parts, and you remain aware of your heart and your connection with your lover, then when the stimulation continues, and of course the woman can do the stimulation, you don't need to feel like, you're left alone. Now I provided stimulation for the woman and now I'm left alone. But the woman also is the one that will have the same desire and the same natural tendency to reciprocate that pleasure and so on. So that's why it's a very false, it's a very false problem. It doesn't exist. So the erection goes, and then you have the chance to relax and to continue later, or to continue in a few minutes when there is more stimulation. That's why the more we focus on what Eros should be, which is engagement based on love and with a higher purpose, at least connecting the hearts, if not a spiritual purpose, then there is no anxiety. There is no even attention paid to this part of the lovemaking. And considering that the erection comes from the heart, and the heart is in charge of the emotions, the more relaxed we are, the more the heart pumps the blood in the right parts. So it shouldn't be absolutely any problem with this.
And also the women should be very open and attentive with their lovers, because if this is happening, means also they have an emotional blockage or something, and we need to be very, very attentive. And then is coming our solar manifestation, in which we need to kiss them, to caress them, to even have a conversation like, I feel good, it's nice, and to manifest this eros and the erotic energies, because that's very fulfilling for the heart. And usually when the man says that the woman is relaxed and still playful and is not getting frustrated or leaving or something like this, he's actually opening up and let that things go, and then he becomes like really active and so on. It happened to me many times, like the more you are open and loving and being there for your lover, then he will not let you go. So I think in that moment, the heart has a very important role, because when this is happening, connection and soul connection, then everything is relaxing and you go beyond any, struggle or any. It can be a stress, from the day something happened and it popping up, and then the man feels closed, and so the woman needs to have this art of like being present and making him relaxed, and even like massaging him or tickling him or making him to forget about all his stress. That will be very then easy to overpass these situations.
Looking at different ways to be intimate, to create that intimate bond and to be relaxed, and then see what happens.
Exactly. Yes, and not getting frustrated, just being present there, and in any way is necessary. If it's necessary to stop for the moment, you stop, but you are there for your lover, and because he's also there for you, and you support each other through any situations.
This reminds me that maybe what you're doing is trying to keep the ego out of the situation. Would that be correct?
You do not fight with the ego, you just amplify the love, because when love is coming, the ego is disappearing. Then you become just a channel through which love is manifesting. You become transparent, and then the ego is not there in those moments when you fully love and open, and you give yourself to your lover. And
so that's very much the heart of the art of foreplay.
Is the center point, yes.
Can you add to that, Bogdan?
Being a man, it took me a while to learn that any intimate connection needs to come from the heart, and there is a fine line of course, allowing the excitement and the beauty of excitement to build up. But also there is a skill of staying connected with the heart and staying connected to your lover during lovemaking. We could even speak about, let's say, good intentions from the beginning, And then, yes, you created a romantic environment, you invited your lover, you've done the things by the book, and now is the bed full of rose petals, and is the best foreplay in the world, and everything is super nice. But still, if we are caught in friction and stimulation, and then we take the attention from the heart into the genitals, for example, we lose quite a lot of the magic. That's why, for example, Tantra doesn't speak about sex. Even the association of tantric sex, I would say it's a bit wrong, because Tantra speaks about sacredness, and we cannot find sacredness in sex. We cannot find sacredness in instinctual interaction. If we speak about tantric lovemaking, or tantric intimacy, or tantric eroticism, that's different, because you take that stimulation and that erotic interaction and you elevate it and you feed and nourish other human functions. For example, the love, or for example, spirituality, for the miracles that two spirits united together that can experience together in orgasm, in intimacy, and so on. So I would say without the heart we cannot speak about any form of intimacy, and the foreplay gives a very good direction, because once the foreplay is setting a good direction, then it's more likely that we'll pay attention during the lovemaking, even when the energy and the stimulation raises to a much higher level. So that's why foreplay allows us to expand into our soul and to keep connection with our lover. And then once we get to higher forms of, let's say, or more intense lovemaking, we do not lose track of it. It still stays a tantric experience, a sacred experience, rather than devolving in an instinctual sexual interaction.
And how long does it actually take to become proficient in the art of foreplay?
Could take a millisecond. It's just a change of attitude. Of course, if, for example, for 10, 15 years as a man, we seeked only for this very instinctual and unconscious interactions, it will take some undoing. You could even need to rewire your brain and your mind and your attitude towards intimacy and towards women. It could even happen that you love your lover very much in the daily life, you're very good friends and you do a lot for each other, but when it comes to sexuality, we are like primitive men and we have no knowledge of something different. So definitely, if it is the case, then some undoing needs to be done. For example, one thing I didn't mention yet for a man as a possibility is this capacity of having multiple orgasms. So if, for example, the instinctual approach to sexuality leads to 10, 15, 20 minutes of quick sex with a discharge, we'll never have access to those amazing states and I would say stories that the Tantra tells us constantly. So, of course, it needs some training. Foreplay is the art that allows us to step into this inner management. So the better we become at foreplay, the more we will manage our own energies. And of course, it's not just the foreplay, it's a limited time today to speak more about lovemaking, but in the lovemaking itself also is very important to start very slowly for a man. So for example, after 30-40 minutes of making love slower, the energies start to move naturally and effortlessly through your body and through your energetic system, which means any amount of stimulation will not push you to that edge of kind of instinctual discharge, which means that you become a very good lover simply by having a good foreplay, staying connected with your lover, starting slowly and being very mindful of what happens there, and then you become a super lover. So it's even following by the book, which a man can do quite well. We're very good in reading manual and using tools. So I would say a man just needs to change the attitude, and then the training is not that difficult. It might take maybe a few weeks or a few months to get to that level, but it's just a matter of wanting to. And the rest of it is just studying and practicing. And of course, a woman can help a lot. Alina was mentioning a bit earlier that, the man can learn from the woman. The men even can be taught by the woman. So for example, not only once, Alina said, not yet, not the nipples yet. You still need to kiss me. Before you go to those areas, to those erogenous zones, you need to stimulate and to feel that I'm getting ready for something which is closer to that level of intimacy. So even such advice and such communication happening between the two lovers can make the whole process much faster. So a man can learn very, very fast if he has the mind and the heart in the right place and he really wants to do it. And of course, it's very useful to speak with his friends or a teacher or his lover, or all of them, in order to gather the information to apply it. So I would say it's just a matter of us deciding, and then the rest of it is just a consequence of a very firm decision to learn.
And does it take much to learn how to sublimate, to the energies, to actually learn to isolate those energies, to identify them, to transmutate them and sublimate them?
It can take a long time, but the encouraging thing is like this: even without knowing the tantric lingo and having all the methodology and the techniques and so on, and there is one thing that can help us all, and it's a very beautiful time when we are in love, and in love means that we are more connected with the heart. These things become natural. So for example, I come back to my statement from earlier: energy follows consciousness. Now, if you think in terms of sexual stimulation and focusing on the genitals, the whole energy will just collect and accumulate in the genital area, which leads to almost an impossibility to do what you mentioned a bit earlier, to transform that energy in something higher. But good intention, longer foreplay, very mindful and attentive beginning of the lovemaking, staying connected in the heart, which means the consciousness stays in the heart through the whole beginning. And I know it sounds more like a philosophy, but it becomes a very easy application of what you mentioned as this inner alchemy or sublimation. Being in the heart, you start to attract the energies in the heart. So energy follows consciousness. The consciousness is now connected in the heart and connected with the partner, with the lover. And then that energy has a natural tendencies to continue to nourish the heart, which means a lot of inner alchemy and transformation happens simply by having the capacity to stay with the heart, to stay connected, to stay in the intimacy of the hearts and the intimacy of the souls, rather than just paying attention to the physical interaction. So that's why on one side, if you ask me about the tantric methodology and the practice and so on, how long or how much effort you need to make to learn sublimation, a lot. In terms of naturalness of lovemaking, and that's why lovemaking is such a wonderful spiritual tool if it's done correctly, it can be effortless, or at least part of it, maybe 50, 60, 70% of this inner alchemy and this transformation happens during lovemaking. And of course, the more you know and the more technology you know, spiritual technology you have and methodology, the easier it is to deal with the 100% of your energies. But a good start is the love, and which is in the title, in the lovemaking.
Alina, can you comment on that from a female's perspective?
We also can help our lover to reach the erotic amorous continence. And we can play a big role in this direction. And also this connection in the heart and in the soul is important. But also we can help in this direction, and also there are different movements during the foreplay and also during the lovemaking in which we can help for him to raise the energies, because for a woman it's very natural to do this, it's an inborn thing. It's very easy to have an orgasm with sublimation of the energies on different levels of our being. That's why for us it's easy to feel the states of orgasm, to have many or prolonged ones. Having this experience by this intimate connection with our lover, it also is an exchange of energy, information, and so he's learning also through us. And also at the beginning, maybe we should be a bit more patient and applying different techniques that we learn in the Tantra. But it is possible, it's easy, and when there is a lot of love, then it's becoming like a game of love and a beauty of exploring each other and learning each other, and yeah.
Have you got any tips for anybody listening who would like to start right now on learning the art of foreplay?
Probably the easiest tip is to make your lover happy. And if that comes from the heart, not as just another selfish impulse to get to your own pleasure, when it comes as a genuine impulse to offer from the heart and to see her happy and so on, then these things become natural. And of course, if you have that conversation at the end of your lovemaking and say, what did you like? Oh, I wish that you stayed longer. I wish that you explore my body more. Like I gave the example a bit earlier where Alina had to educate me to find more erogenous zones, not just the very famous 3. So this kind of friendly and gentle and loving discussions can easily lead to accumulating a lot of knowledge, but also the right attitude. For example, you may think, oh, Alina likes 45 minutes of foreplay. If my mind is away, if I'm not connected there, it doesn't matter. I'm still not doing a good job, in inverted commas, the job. So it's not a duty, it's not something that we should do because it just get to the honeypot. So we should do it because that's a natural offering of a natural gift of the heart. So I would say the easiest tip and what we can start right now is to learn how to make our lover happy, and that to be a natural gift of our hearts, and that will be a good start. And of course, the study of the erogenous zones and the communication, all of those things will help greatly in this endeavor.
Alina, any tips from you?
As I said, a woman can teach the man, and also the other way, during the lovemaking and during this intimacy time, by a subtle type of communication. You know, the woman moans, the woman make different sounds when she really likes, so the man will know that this actually she likes. And yeah, we need to just be very attentive at one another and communicate also in this way. And also verbally we can have a conversation afterwards. But I think a lot is learned during the lovemaking and through this deep connection and unifying of our hearts and minds and our spirits and everything.
Alina, Bogdan, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.